Good morning. Welcome into Wingin' It Wednesday, brought to you by our friends over at Service Cadillac, 1214, Ambassador Caffrey near I-10. It's all in the name. Service Cadillac will tell you all about the specials going on. Still some 2016s left over on the lot where you can get some awesome deals. Joining us in studio now, Warren Cottle and Carol Ross for Wingin' It Wednesday. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you guys were schooling me in the break, like just before Project School started. Project Chick started playing, and about how this works. Okay, so any other day, should Comey have not been fired, we would be talking about the subpoenas going out in the case of the Mike Flynn, that investigation, Flynn's associates. So the question was who issued those subpoenas, and it is the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia is who sent those off. Dana Bonte oversees that office. He's also the acting head of the Justice Department's National Security Division as well. Okay, so what do we make about this? FBI Director Comey out. Several different accounts of how it happened, and it seems he might have actually found out on TV with everyone else because he was in L.A. at the FBI offices. So, Carol, let's start off with you. Where does it leave us? Where does it leave any investigations that were ongoing, et cetera?
There are so many ironies here. It looks like the Trump administration learned well from the Obama administration. They were such good political ventriloquists. They had you looking over here while they were doing something over here. So the subpoenas went out. Well, we're going to fire Comey. This is the perfect day to fire Comey.
Yeah.
All right. So they learned their lesson well. But what's really fun to watch, I mean, how long did it take for Chuck Schumer to get to that camera? Whoa! I think he set the land record for getting in front of the camera. But then you go back and you read their statements over the years. So the Democrats got, as the American Spectator wrote, Jeffrey Lord, they got exactly what they wanted until they got it. Then it was Harry Reid, back then, Comey should resign. We have no confidence. He allegedly withheld information about President Trump. Let's see who. Oh, Schumer himself. I've lost confidence in the FBI director. I love it when he gets to the camera and he lowers his voice. This is so. The Republic is going to fall because of this, which means absolutely nothing, really. FBI director has no credibility. That was the lovely Maxine Waters of California, who also said that Comey has advanced Russia's misinformation campaign and he should resign. Steve Cohen of Tennessee, for the sake of the FBI, Comey should resign. Well, they got what they wanted.
Well, in fairness,
and now they're all upset.
In fairness, Republicans have talked on both sides of this as well. You even have Senator Jeff Sessions.
Jeff
Sessions.
McCain. Anybody from McCain? Oh, he's the other one. He tried to beat Schumer to the cameras to say how troubled and concerning this is. This is very troubling stuff.
But you have to admit, everyone has spoken out on both sides because, Comey was kind of like this guy at some point in the election while the campaign was still going on. His actions benefited Republicans, and at times it benefited the Democrats.
They're just as schizoid as he was during that campaign. At one point he says, well, he did all this investigation and she did all these things wrong, but I'm not going to prosecute. Well, he's not the prosecutor. Loretta Lynch was, and she didn't do it. Why? Because it just made him nauseous to see them meeting on the tarmac, and then it was going to fall in his lap. I'm sorry, they're all a bunch of damn phonies.
Whoa, Warren, your thoughts?
The first thing is that firing Comey with a letter is okay. Firing him, I don't care how you do it, just as long as he's fired. Comey should have never, ever been put in the director's job with FBI. That man had his fingerprints so dirty on things that even Mike Staggs was opposed to Loretta Lynch becoming the U.S. attorney under Obama because she refused to prosecute Comey over the money laundering deal. I believe it was the HSBC bank in England. Comey had ties to the Clinton Foundation. He had, Comey has as much dirt on him as most of the rest of them. And all of this stuff about the FBI being above and beyond reproach and all of that, that was stuff that we were fed over the decades. If you go back and look at J. Edgar Hoover
in a dress,
that man was such a hypocrite. He lived two sides, but he was also a thief and an embezzler. There is a great documentary on him where it talks about that the president of the United States at that time had one armored limousine, and the FBI director had two. He had his house. His house was completely furnished with FBI budget, with antiques and all kind of such stuff. And that he was in ties with the mafia, where they said they had the dirt on him because of his homosexuality. And he also lived with an agent of the FBI. They were lovers. They were buried side by side. And it's just on and on and on. At the same time, Hoover's writing these letters about the sexual perversion and the perverts in Washington that are destroying the nation and on and on. I mean, look, and that they came out. You remember back during the O.J. Simpson trial? That was years ago. Most people don't remember that now. But right before that, during that time, it came out that the FBI lab, which used to just be 100% above and beyond reproach, had been found guilty of been caught doctoring evidence, where that they were turning around and saying, what do you want this to show? And the prosecutor said, well, we'd like for it to show that blah, blah. And they said, okay, that's what it shows then. And the FBI has just really come under some serious troubles. Mm-hmm. You go back to Robert Hansen. Their man in there who was in charge of counterintelligence turns around and he was spying for 15 years for the Soviet Union or whatever. Mm-hmm. Comey is just another one in the line of that bunch who's been given a pass over and over and over again. And if nothing else, he should have been fired many times over the stuff that he did while the Obama administration and also in the Trump administration.
So what do you make of senators who have, like you said, Carol, found their ways to cameras already this morning, saying that even though he's out as the head of the FBI, they'd like him to lead the Senate investigation into Russia?
Really?
They need to be committed.
Are you serious? Oh, I
heard
even
that.
I couldn't make that up. Listen, the only thing that inoculated Comey for all of his eventual misdeeds that he did with HSBC, etc., was the fact that he went after Scooter Libby and Dick Cheney. And of course, he knew very well when he appointed Patrick Fitzgerald as the attorney, as the special prosecutor, whatever, on that case, he knew very well that it was Richard Armitage who did the leaking. They all knew it. But they were after Dick Cheney. They had to go through Scooter Libby, and Scooter Libby committed the sin that a lot of people do, like Martha Stewart, like our own Jim Brown here inLouisiana. He didn't commit the crime. He lied about not committing the crime
that's a
to
big
the
problem.
FBI.
All right, Warren, wrap this one up.
Yeah, the other thing I want to say too is it was said over and over and over a few months ago about how the FBI agents were turning in resignations in record numbers, and how they were so upset and so demoralized over Comey and the things that he was doing. So, any of these people who want to come out and support Comey now, shame on you.
You have those frontline agents. I mean, it's really got to be demoralizing for them.
We will move on to the Sally Yates, James Clapper hearing that happened a little bit earlier this week. And we have a new star on our hands, Senator John Kennedy, who, when we talked to him last week, I have to tell you guys, I've been holding it, but we just get so deep in conversation I forget to ask. But I'm so anxious to ask him now that he lives in D.C. and he has like a reservation at Applebee's, and it's for John Kennedy. If he walks in and they say no, what's your real name? In D.C.
He always used to laugh about that privately.
All right, 7:22.
But some folks thought that they thought he was the son.
Oh wow.
Oh.
A lot of people thought he was the son. Yeah.
Well, hey. You know how politics works. If it benefits, you let them believe it. That's all right.
Exactly.
Put it on a sign. 7:22. We're going to come back with more Wingin' It Wednesday, brought to you by Service Cadillac. But first, wouldn't it be nice to be sitting in traffic if you were in a nice new Cadillac CTS out there? 7:26. Welcome back to Acadiana's Morning News and Wingin' It Wednesday, brought to you by our friends over at Service Cadillac. Look, Bernie, you know what happened? Late night, Saturday night, in the middle of nowhere, Port Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning to Port Barry. Thank goodness for the Chicken King restaurant, because we had a blowout in the Cadillac with two kids in the car.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to make it. The tires that were on the car were able to make it into the safety of a parking lot.
Yep.
A quick call to roadside assistance. There was a tow truck there in 20 minutes.
And the
28
police
minutes.
even came by.
The police even came by and everything.
Check on y'all.
Look, they brought my car to the dealership. It's being worked on right now over at Service Chevrolet Cadillac. And when I walked in, the concern that they all had, because they knew what happened.
Right.
Are you good?
That's why service is in the name.
Here are the keys to your loaner. It's going to take about 5 days to get a tire. It's a special order tire. Just get comfortable in the loaner. We'll let you know when it's done. Let me tell you, the folks over at Service, and I know what some of you are thinking. Well, of course, you talk about them on the radio, so of course you're going to get that kind of treatment. No, I sit in the waiting lounge just like everyone else with the popcorn and bottled water, and I see every customer that comes in
popcorn and bottled water.
treated the exact same way. So go see my friends, Dean, Rhonda. They're all great over there at Service Cadillac. Just sit in some cars, see how you like them, for every budget, for every age group. You know, I would have never thought I'd have a Cadillac, but the car that I have, it's fast and it's fun.
It's fast, it's fun, and you look good in it.
So,
but it's safe and you get great service after the sale.
Oh, yeah.
Look, the kids slept through the blowout.
Right there.
They slept through, there. And we made it. You know, the tow truck guy came and he said, "Sir, I've seen far less severe blowouts in tires that have thrown cars off the road."
Off the road, yeah.
So anyway, there's not a price you could put on safety. So go see our friends over at Service Chevrolet Cadillac and our friends at Service Cadillac for sure. So Senator John Kennedy is the breakout star of this week's Sally Yates, James Clapper hearing on several different things. I don't know if any of you guys thought it was weird, but members of that committee, they got up and down through the whole thing. So sometimes it was full. And sometimes it was
but they do that all the time.
That's just rude. It's like getting up at Thanksgiving dinner for me.
That's
just me. I don't know, Carol. You know better than me.
Well, it is rude, but that's the way they do it. You know, but I'll give you this. Kennedy has a way, and he's been doing it for years. He is so skilled at it. He knows what the media is going to glom onto, and he gets that question out there in 30 seconds or less, and man, they got a soundbite for the evening news.
Well, his comment of, who do you think you are and who made you the Supreme Court?
Yeah, who nominated you?
What do you think about the hearing? It was kind of nothing exciting came out. I didn't feel like there was anything we didn't know came out of it, but
I was so enthused with it, I really didn't watch it. I went back and replayed the John Kennedy part because it did make news and all that. The thing that struck me the most out of it is that, you know, we just got through talking about Comey being fired. I think the next round that we need to be talking about is James Clapper being fired. That man, to me, is an older version of General William Charles Westmoreland, whom I believe was pretty damn close to being a pathological liar. And this guy goes in there and he lies to the Senate committee about the NSA spying and their data mining and all that, saying they didn't do it when he knew good and well that they were. And then when Kennedy asked him about, did you ever leak any information to the press, classified or unclassified, and Clapper says, well, if it was unclassified, it wouldn't be leaking. It damn sure would. How can that man come out and say something like that? You know, a leak means that you're telling somebody something that should not be for public information. Does not have to be classified. They do it all the time. People do it in corporations and such stuff where they go out there and tell one of the buddies in the press, hey, look, this is what they're planning on trying to do, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, I mean, for him to sit there and say something like that, then all the people laugh like it was true, what he said. You know, that man, to me, he needs to go. He really needs, because I think that we need to change the name of that thing from the National Intelligence Committee or whatever, you know, that's what he's Director of National Intelligence. We need to change that to the Committee for State Security. The Committee for State Security. It's called KGB, as their initials in Russian, which was the former Soviet Union's KGB, because that's exactly what they're becoming, is that big government, nanny state. We know all, they collect all this information on everybody, and you got some fool like that sitting up there who will sit there. He's been proven time and again that he's not trustworthy and that he does not have the best interest of this country at heart. And the things that he came out with yesterday, when Kennedy was asking him about the Soviet Union trying to influence American elections, and he said, well, I mean, you know, I haven't really researched that. You're a damn liar. If you're the Director of National Intelligence and you don't know those things and you haven't really looked at them, you are a liar. And so, you know, what I would like to see, I'd like to see him be fired before, you know, don't even send him a letter. You know, just announce it.
Send him a tweet, fire him in a tweet.
Just announce it on television. That's the way Donald Reagan said. That's what really got him when he was fired as Reagan's chief of staff, and he found out about it over television news.
Yep.
You know, so that's good enough for him.
Oh, well, I yield my time to the gentleman from North Lafayette. I think he just about said it all. You know, but it does point out these show trials that they love to do because they get the media in there and everybody gets all in a lather about it. And they know it's sound.
Well, everyone's led to
sound and
believe
fury.
something was actually going to come out of
Something's
it.
going to happen. Nothing ever happens in that sclerotic town of Washington, D.C. It is so clogged up with all their little games and all, the back and forth. And one day they're for Comey, the next day they're against, and one day they're shocked, I tell you, shocked about what's going on. And they know.
Here's your winning.
Did they know? Thank you very much. Did they know Did they know all that stuff about the IRS? Let's see. Did they know about the VA? Did they know about Benghazi? Did they know about the NSA spying on everyone? Did they know about Obama spying on the AP and James Rosen and going into reporters' homes and taking out, personal files and that sort of thing and use it under the pretext of the firearms law? What did they know and when did they know it? That's all I want to know.
I'll tell you this. One of the things that kind of caught me off guard, and I went back and I looked because I guess I've always associated James Clapper with the Obama administration. And historically, a Democratic administration is going to have a Democrat running an important agency like that. Multiple people saying, even after all this stuff, even after that testimony, I can't tell if he's a Republican or a Democrat.
Well, you shouldn't be able
right.
to.
Well,
the same thing was
plus.
with Comey. You shouldn't have been able to tell one way or the other, but he was all over the map. I don't think anybody could tell because one day he was messing up the Democrats and the other day he was messing up the Republicans and generally messing up totally.
Seems like the swamp is still intact, guys, at this point. Hey, coming up, we're going to talk about the NOLA monuments debate. The task force argued that the PTG Beauregard statue is actually on private land and the city can't do anything about it. Well, they were handled another tough blow in court. That coming up on Wingin' It Wednesday.
All right, double checking what's happening in traffic right now. Northwest of Angelin Thruway at Castile. We have a traffic crash there. It's northwest of Angelin Thruway at Castile. Also, we have a traffic crash from a little bit earlier. It's on Ducey Road right in the area of Hampton. That's Ducey near Hampton. Traffic brought to you by Kent Safety Solutions. When it comes to safety management and training, there's only one name you need to remember, Kent Safety Solutions. Ready people, ready assets. 330-8188 or visit them at kentsafetysolutions.com.
Over the Perret interview.
7:41. Welcome back to Acadiana this morning.
Nobody heard that.
Good morning. It is Wingin' It Wednesday with Warren Cottle and Carol Ross here. Just, stirring the big gumbo pot. That's what we do this early in the morning at 7:42. I'm brought to you by Service Cadillac. So, you know what? I might call an audible because one thing I forgot to put on our list of things I wanted to talk about was the Sanctuary City thing over in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Greg Abbott
signed this deal, and we don't have to talk about it right now if y'all don't have opinions about it.
Yeah.
Or y'all need to research.
We can always do it next week.
But here's the funny part. Here's the conundrum. The city in Texas called Sanctuary, Texas. It's just north of Fort Worth, and it's 325 people.
It's not a sanctuary city, though.
It's not a sanctuary city at all.
It's the city of Sanctuary. No, it's the town of Sanctuary because that's not a city. I mean, that may be a blip on the map, really.
It's a blip. It's north of Fort Worth. It's a small town. But, I guess the part that surprised me about that whole thing was how many chiefs of police in Texas, which is overall a conservative state, came out and said, nope, we don't support that. We're not going to do that. Follow the law?
What do you think?
I don't know.
They don't want the hassle.
Maybe I'm naive, but...
They don't want the hassle.
Yeah. It is kind of funny that...
Check out the demographics of Texas.
Well, the governor lives, okay? So the governor is based in Austin, lives in Austin, might be the most liberal city in Texas. It's a conundrum.
Maybe.
maybe in the country. Portland South.
No, actually, there are a few in California, I think, that would beat out Austin.
Okay, one of the things that I had for you guys, I'm so interested, the New Orleans monuments, that debate rages on. One of the three is already down. That happened, 2 weeks ago under the cover of darkness. We do know something more about that, and I don't know if you guys heard this, but apparently the firefighters union is really mad because the construction company didn't even use their own people. They used firefighters to do it, which is why they were covered and everything, which makes a lot more sense.
Yep.
But one of these groups came out and said the PT Beauregard statue is on private property, so city has no jurisdiction to make these sort of decisions. Warren, what are your thoughts about this? You think it's just going to continue to happen?
I think you're going to continue to have some court battles and this, that, and other. That you ran into the situation here with the Alfred Mouton statue downtown, and it turns out that whenever that thing was donated, it was done on private land by a private group, and it was in the deed that it would stay there permanently. Anytime a restriction is put in a deed, that stays forever until one day it gets overturned by a court because the court decides, well, that's not really what the people wanted meant, and that. So I think it's the same thing here. When does the state or when does any government have a right to go into private property and to tell you you've got to change this, you've got to undo what is there if it's not for the public good or however, zoning and those kind of such things. So it's going to set up a real legal challenge, I think. One of my best cases on that thing that I've ever seen was at the University of Tennessee. That for years the stadium was shaped like a horseshoe. They would build it up, but one end of the end zone was left open, and it had these little temporary bleachers, and it was that way for 40, 50 years or whatever, until finally they closed in that end. And an attorney friend of mine in Knoxville said the reason was is that the family who donated that property, in that donation, it said that the stadium the field had to remain visible from their home place, which is on the side of a mountain over there looking at it. And so court finally decided that what they really meant was not the field had to remain visible, but the stadium had to remain. So the court decided that. So then they were able to close in the whole thing and make it into one big giant bowl that seated 100 and something thousand people.
Yeah.
But so this thing it's an ongoing deal, and there are two sides to the issues, and that I don't see them just backing down anytime soon. But I do think that Mitch Landrieu certainly overstepped his bounds on some of that stuff. And you're talking about using the firefighters with masks and all. I think the next step would be the contractor will do like the contractors on the roads and bridges here will use prison labor to do it.
How about why doesn't the city council do it? Let the city council go out there with bulletproof vests and masks.
Well, that's what Andrew Jackson said one time, when the Supreme Court ruled against him. And he said, okay, you made the ruling, you enforce it. Go down there and do it.
People who either grew up around New Orleans like myself or are from there or do Mardi Gras in New Orleans, I'm sorry, Lee Circle's always going to be Lee Circle. And I think that's the one that's going to go down with the fight. Carol, what do you make of the debate?
This one is, at the entrance to City Park. It's on the circle at the entrance to City Park. Does anybody know what the PGT stand for?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I did read it not too long ago.
They called him the Little Creole, and his name was Pierre Gustave Toutain Beauregard.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Right. Yep. And so anyway, but what happened after the wars, what's really interesting about Beauregard, he advocated reconciliation between Democrats and Republicans in the city and state politics, a move many former Confederates saw as a betrayal of their cause. He was a proud and loyal Southerner, but they said that the Times-Picayune wrote, in peace he forgot he hated Yankees. And he tried to effect reconciliation at that time. Maybe we should remember that and teach that, reconciliation, rather than what divides us. I think this whole monuments thing is a way for Mitch Landrieu. I don't get him at all, and probably it's a good thing, because, there are so many things going on in New Orleans that
I would
need
have concerns if you
help,
didn't get him,
that need help.
Yeah.
Look at the shootings. They said this was in response to the shooting in Charleston, South Carolina, right? At the Emmanuel Church. They said all of this was in response to that. What about the shootings going on in your own city? It's becoming one of the murder capitals in the United States. I would think you would concentrate more on that. But no, this is another one of those political ventriloquism things, draw the attention over here and don't look at the real problems facing our Queen City of the South.
Yeah.
This city with a great history, absolutely a beautiful city.
Yep.
And just so poorly managed, it is tragic.
Well, that's what I think it's so funny when people, even now, so what Katrina happened in 14, so what are we, like 12?
Is the lower Ninth Ward,
Yeah.
It happened in 2005.
If you drive between the airport and Canal Street, you'll see it's rebuilt. As far as you're concerned, New Orleans is rebuilt.
Right, but
you go to some
in,
of those outside,
that's exactly right.
The places where that has not been fixed, that's why you have these problems with blighted properties. There are still properties in the Ninth Ward with spray-painted X on them. And
the lower Ninth Ward always got that bad reputation, but the people that I've spoken to who used to live there loved it. It was a real
they loved it as
community.
It was. Yep. Wow. Warren, if you want to wrap this one up for us.
You know, after Katrina, the crime rate was so bad over there that New Orleans was not even reporting their crime to the FBI national statistics, because if they did, they would eclipse every other city in the United States. So they basically just said, okay, you don't have to report it. I mean, God knows what the real crime rate is there. You know, per capita, whatever. I mean, the murder rate right now eclipsed Chicago. What?
Just before?
Was that happening where they didn't have to report to them?
After Katrina.
After Katrina, that's right.
They probably didn't have the personnel to do it. There was really effectively no real government in New Orleans.
But it was. But that was for a few years.
Yeah.
After.
You're talking about
just the personnel. It just
and
the
where
fact
did
they were
Nagin
so
spend the storm
by.
at the top of the Sheraton? Where did his family spend the storm? In Dallas. By the way, Ed Nagin's coming back. Yeah, he's going to testify in that River Birch, that waste disposal scandal.
I saw that the other day.
Yes, indeed. He's back.
That's very interesting.
But only to
Ray
testify.
Nagin got a bum rap. I'm going to say that. Because, you know, when you look
In
at the
what
mayors,
way?
you look at mayors of New Orleans, Ray Nagin was really one of the more honest ones they ever had there, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, he was so honest, he's in prison.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but, you know, look at the rest of them who should have been there.
All right, let's wrap this one up. We're going to come back to
goodness.
talk about a bill that would hopefully require driver's education to teach how to handle a traffic stop. Because apparently parenting is overrated these days. 7:50 now. Winging It Wednesday, brought to you by Service Cadillac. We're back after this.
I think you ought to play.
All right, double checking what's happening in traffic this morning. Johnston at Genevieve, we have a traffic crash. That's Johnston at Genevieve, northwest of Angelin Thruway at Castile, northwest of Angelin Thruway at Castile, and Duce Road. That one happening at least a half an hour ago. Duce at Hampton. Hopefully it's been moved off of the roadway. That's a very hot spot for traffic in the morning. So just please make sure that you're buckling up and that you're keeping it safe out there this morning. Our traffic update being brought to you by Lark's Acadian Village, presenting Blues on the Bayou May 13th. Cody Bouillon Trio, followed by the Good Dudes with Michael Juan Nunez headlining the event. For more information on Lark's Blues on the Bayou, make sure that you visit acadianvillage.org.
And coming up, we have your tickets, 2 pairs of tickets to that event in the 8 o'clock hour of Acadiana's Morning News. Stay with us at 7:51. We come back to wrap up Winging It Wednesday. All right, 7:53. We're back with Winging It Wednesday, and apparently we really are winging it. Come on, guys. Gosh, you just never.
It's that Moon Griffon is your problem, Joe.
You know what, Moon? You're in timeout.
I was talking to Moon.
It's all your fault, Moon. Stop.
Go in the corner, kneel on the right.
Just for that, he's gonna have to wait until 9:17 to come on this morning. Gonna push the show back.
Get out the ADD meds.
All right, so a new bill, a proposed bill, would require driver's education classes to teach how to handle a traffic stop, what is the appropriate way to act, and what you should expect when you get pulled over. Yesterday, we talked to Trooper Brooks Savid, who said, okay, but every agency does it just a little bit different. You get pulled over by state police, you have to get out the car, for example. What are your thoughts about this? Is this not something that's just taught anymore by parents to their kids? Listen to instructions. They're wearing a badge. They also have a gun.
Do not
Warren?
define him with a gun.
Look, I think it should be taught. You know, that I think that more people get in trouble but because of their actions or whatever. This judge told me one time, we were discussing this thing, and the judge said, oh, yeah. He said, by all means, he said, get out of your car with your driver's license in your hand and go back here acting humble. Say, I'm sorry, sir, did I inconvenience you with something I did wrong? I didn't really think that I did anything wrong. He said, you know, the worst thing you can do.
Was I really speeding?
Yeah, the worst thing you can do is go back there and cop a little attitude, you know, and that...
We don't all have your voice, though, Carol. It wouldn't sound nearly the same if I did that.
You could play the clip. I think it was Chris Rock telling people how to act when they get stopped, you know. And basically what he says is, you know, be nice. You know, don't open your mouth. You know, if you do, be nice about it, you know. And,
you know, I will tell you the one thing that I do think should be taught, and I've seen some of these things pop up on Facebook where someone explains, you know, what happened when they are licensed to have a weapon in their car, and they give the whole back and forth. So then I told them I'm not going to take my hands off my steering wheel because my insurance is in my console, and also in my console is a 22 or whatever. And, I mean, they explain it, and then it usually ends with the officer respects that you let him know. You know, I mean, you don't, as an officer, you don't know what you're walking up to. Yeah, there are some that are a little bit on edge about it. But what do you think, Carol?
Well, I think, why are they wasting their time on this? This seems to me to be common sense, right? But then, of course, they were worried about the, age and weight of strippers. So, I mean, who knows where this legislature will go? Okay. I think I made him speechless with that one.
I'm pretty speechless here on that one.
Pretty speechless. All right. So
all right. Winging It Wednesday, brought to you every week by Service Cadillac.
We love them over there.
I'll just tell you, I go back to every time. You know what my dad always told me? Get arrested. If they're going to arrest you, and you didn't do anything wrong, let them arrest you. Yeah. It's why there's court. It's why, I mean, just let it happen. Don't stand up.
No, my dad would never say that. He'd say, you better behave and don't, because I'm not coming down to bail you out.
Okay.
You better be.
If you're in the situation and that's what's happening, it's not on the side of the road or in a public street. It's not the place to argue. Yeah. Just legal system will
and never argue
out.
With somebody with a gun.
Yes, Warren.
There's one other deal where there was this African-American gentleman in Florida, and he got stopped, and it's all on video, and he kind of confronted them about the reason they stopped him. And he asked them a very point-blank, legitimate question. The next thing you know, he was getting beaten. And
what was the question?
I forgot now. It's something like, why'd you stop me? I wasn't speeding. Well, yeah, you did this. You didn't put... Anyway, they wound up beating him up. And so, as it turned out, he was like some big law enforcement officer in another state. And their reaction was, well, he should have told us that to begin with.
Why should that make a difference, right?
Why should it make a difference?
Yeah, why should it make a difference? And I think everybody is so upset with those kind of things where that... Yeah.
The bad give the good, bad reputation.
Gets running 100 miles an hour, he gets out and he flashes, opens his, driver's license, and he whips out his badge. The driver's license is on one side. You're a police officer,
Well, I think everybody might want to look at that book by Heather McDonald, The War on Cops, and maybe that's why they're a little edgy, because you've got a lot of police officers being killed in this country.
I met a state trooper from Nebraska not long ago, and he said he got a speeding ticket in Wyoming. And I said, well, did you tell him you were a highway patrolman in Nebraska? And he said, no, sir. I just took it like a man and paid my fine.
Well, there's the message for you. Winging It Wednesday, brought to you by every week by Service Cadillac, where there are 2016s still on the lot. Something for every budget, something for every taste. There's surely going to be something that Carol likes over there as well.
I know that, and I'm getting over there. But I just want to say, go Cajun softball. Yeah.
Huge go Cajuns.
My goodness, what a fabulous job the ladies are doing.
Coming up after the top of the hour, we get an update in Lafayette Live from Councilmember Liz Webb-Hebert. It is 7:59 on Wednesday, May 10th, 2017. Stay with us. This is Acadiana's Morning News on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.